Now, we've seen leaks of PlayStation 5 hardware in news outlets over the last 18 months or so, especially up to the launch of the PS5, where we saw those 3D renders of this Buck Rogers looking development kit. We also saw leaks of dev kits as well as the controller that was shown before the launch of the PS5, and a lot of people got excited about the possibilities of what the PlayStation 5 may look like before it launched. And ultimately, as we know, it ended up being a completely different design than the dev kit. And I guess as a heads up for some people, development kits, sometimes they are identical to final hardware, but most of the time, especially when we're talking about PlayStation or Sony hardware, usually the dev kits look a lot different. Now, I will say that's not always the case, but it does hold true for the PlayStation 4 and indeed the PlayStation 5. Now, with that said, it's only been, look, we're still into the first year of the PlayStation 5. And yesterday, a tweet from Zubitech showed a PS5 development kit was listed on eBay for a few hours. And as you can see here, these are the photographs of this PS5 dev kit with I guess an all-black DualSense controller. And this is the real deal. This is a PlayStation 5 dev kit. Now, this is really interesting to see that the seller actually took the time to make all these photos of this particular system. Very artistic looking photographs. This one here as well with the two DualSense controllers. And I gotta say, this is a pretty ballsy move, because for those people that don't know, these types of development kits, when they get listed on eBay, ended up getting removed very quickly. And in this case, Zubitech also tweeted that the dev kit was delisted a few hours later. Now, there were a lot of media outlets that ran the story yesterday, and Kotaku was one of them. And as you can see here, the PS5 dev kits quickly pulled from eBay. Sony PlayStation 5 development kits were yanked almost as soon as they appeared. Now, what's interesting about these articles that I was reading yesterday is there was a lot of confusion as to why. Why were they pulled from eBay? There was speculation. No one really understood the reasoning for it. And I will tell you that it's quite simple. These dev kits are sole property of Sony, or the platform holder. And at the end of the day, it's really up to them to decide if they want to claim back their hardware. And if you're trying to sell a PS5 dev kit on eBay, then Sony has every right, based on the initial account holder agreement that you have with them, that they can basically claim it back anytime they like. And it even goes further than that. It really is more of a agreement that, you know, you shouldn't be doing anything illegal. You shouldn't be posting photographs of the dev kit. You shouldn't be certainly not selling it on eBay. So the question now becomes, well, who is the seller of this development kit? Because they either really just don't understand what they're trying to do here, or they have a certain level of separation or a buffer between whoever actually acquired this dev kit from Sony in the first place, whatever studio that belonged to. And I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but I am assuming that Sony most likely had sent this dev kit out to a particular studio, and for whatever reason, maybe the studio got closed down, very hard to say, or maybe they were acquired by another studio, and these dev kits kind of got lost in the shuffle. Now, if you take a look at the article, it says a screenshot of the eBay page indicates that the two consoles managed to reach €2,850, around 3,373. There was also a test kit that was being listed, which does tell me that these kits probably came from a studio, and these dev kits were taken and listed on eBay. Now, most likely, it's probably not the person that was using these dev kits at the studios. If it was, then they're probably not working there anymore. And I'm not saying that they were let go or anything, but maybe they were, you know, there was an acquisition or something that happened, or the person had left the studio and they never returned their hardware. But it's really up to the studio themselves to return hardware back to PlayStation or back to Microsoft once there is no longer a need for them. And the reasons for these are, you know, quite obvious. Obviously, there is a lot of intellectual property that's going on here. There may be some code, or there may be some games that are on the system that are in some type of prototype fashion. there's a lot of reasons why Sony would want to reclaim their hardware. And I think this article really does illustrate a couple of things about development kits, and that is platform holders don't like dev kits being listed on eBay unless it's something that is maybe a couple of generations ago, and I mean more than like 3 generations. Then what they're probably going to do is go ahead and take these listings down, and in some instances go after the individual. And I don't mean legally, but they're probably just going to ask them, listen, you need to return this hardware back to us. This is our hardware, this is not yours. All you've done is paid for, a license to use our development kits over a certain period of time. Once you're done with those dev kits, you need to send them back. Now, obviously, there are collectors out there that would be very interested in something like this. They don't necessarily care about what's on the system because this is a nice-looking dev kit. And I think a lot of people that are PlayStation hardware enthusiasts would love to get their hands on this. So, where do they fit into this? Well, unfortunately, at the end of the day, really, Sony has all the cards here on this one. And look, I'm not suggesting that there isn't collectors that have PS5 dev kits out there, but I think eBay really is the wrong place to do it because it does attract a lot of attention. I think in the past when we talked about the sale of dev kits to, one collector to another, it was usually done on forums like Assembler Games or, things like that had a little bit less of, eyes on them at the time. The problem with modern development kits is that they all require activation. So in the old days, you've seen me do videos on the Xbox, OG Xbox dev kit and stuff like that. They were pretty simple. That you just plug them in and you could install your SDK, and then you could just start writing code and debugging against them immediately. The same thing would actually happen with the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. But in recent times, and when I say recent times, I mean probably in the last 10 years, dev kits now require activation for the most part. But when it comes to Microsoft and Sony hardware, they require activation. So what does that mean? Well, if you did manage to get a hold of this dev kit and you turned it on, there would be some text on there that would say this dev kit has expired and requires activation. You know where I'm going with this? There is no way that this dev kit is ever going to get activated. Sony probably already knows the serial number of this development kit, and I would also say that they've probably blacklisted it completely in its entirety until it gets returned back. So there's really not much you can do with a modern dev kit these days. They do require activation. And again, unless you're a collector and you want to pay a lot of money for something that looks cool like this, and it does look cool, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of collectors of exotic hardware would love to get their hands on this. But if you are someone that is looking to, I guess, get involved in some type of homebrew scene on modern hardware like the PlayStation 5, then it's going to be very difficult for you to do so. But this is really interesting for me because I guess my question remains, who was the person that actually listed this on eBay, and what did they think was going to be the outcome here of this? I mean, Sony was always going to take this auction offline and possibly, we don't know, but possibly have also taken further action against the person that's listing this on eBay. But I think at a minimum, they're probably sending them emails or maybe a cease and desist and asking them to, look, you need to stop what you're doing and you need to send this development kit back to us. But I guess I want to finish off by saying that eventually, these kits will become obsolete. A couple of generations further down the line when we're talking about the PlayStation 7 or something like that, these types of things will become collector's pieces and Sony won't really care as much about them. I mean, I think about the PlayStation 3. You can buy dev kits, debug kits pretty readily on eBay, and Sony's not really that interested in, going after individuals. It's really just about the current landscape of things, and I think that would include PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 dev kits. But we're going to leave it here for this episode. Let me know what you thought about the PS5 dev kit listing on eBay, and I want to hear your opinions in the comments below. What do you think about this? We are going to leave it here for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, don't forget to put a like on it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.